Confidence is about how you see yourself. Welcome to the Uniquely Confident Podcast.
Positive energy and good vibrations from me to you. It's your boy RJD, the Imperfect Gentleman. And yes, it's another dope episode of the Uniquely Confident Podcast. I am so excited today. I am elated, actually. I've been on this whole spiritual journey for the last 2 months, so you probably haven't seen an episode. And that's no excuse. It's just the truth. I'm taking this journey. I'm taking it seriously. I can't be coaching people out here if I'm not okay. So with that being said, guys, I missed you all. Thank you so much for rocking with me. And if you haven't seen me in a while, I'm not going to apologize because I'm moving forward. I'm becoming a better gentleman, a better man by the day. So with that being said, thank you so much for all the love and all the support for anyone who's reached out to me as well over the past month, which it was my birthday month. So thank you for the love and the support. You guys know around here, we have certain criteria that we must do before we get started with the podcast, which is talking to the utmost man and making sure that he's pleasantly pleased whatever we're doing. So with that being said, let's talk to the Most High. Dear God, we thank you for another day, another opportunity that we get to say thank you, oh God. Thank you right now for the special space that we have, for the special time in this moment, because we know that there's nothing like the present, and it's a gift. So right now we thank you for the gift, and we thank you for the giver of that gift, because we know that you are the reason why we exist. So right now in this space, I ask you, look over me and give me the grace and space that we need right now across this platform to help somebody else, inspire them, and encourage them and motivate them to have confidence and be a better individual than who they are currently for themselves and their future. And these things we do pray in the Most High. Amen. All right. Now that's out the way. Now listen, my excitement is for a reason, because I have a dope and phenomenal gentleman that's about to blaze this phenomenal stage with some dope content. So I'm not going to waste no more time. I'm going to get down to it and get down to nitty gritty immediately. So my man, Damon Megerly from, let me get it right. Masculinity Redefined. If I'm butchering in that, he's going to tell me right now in a second once I get him on the stage. So do me a favor, wherever you are, you're checking this out, give him a warm welcome. Hit that phone, clap your hands, do whatever you need to do. Just get the vibes and the energy and welcome my man to the stage.
Hey, my man.
What it do, my guy? What it do? How are you, man?
Dude, I'm doing amazing right now. There's nothing but good times out here.
Man, you know, I'm excited. I'm sitting here right now, like we was having a dope conversation back in the green room area right before we started. And I'm like, yo, this conversation must go on wax. We must continue this and get this dope conversation and have it and so everyone else can hear it. So do me a favor before we get started in this dope conversation. Let the people know who you are, where you're from, and what you do, King.
Yo, my name is Damon Megerly. I just started the business, the Redefining Masculinity. And as you were saying, my journey and inspiration just comes from the understanding that we as men, we as people need this space and this progress and this opportunity to move forward. And the one big thing I found is a lot of us men don't have that space to grow productively, healthy. It's always that constant battle. It's always that negative, that toxic competition. But the one thing that I've learned is that the one thing that moves both political parties, both liberal, conservative thinkers, just people in general, in the United States at least, the one thing that I know that everybody loves is the healthy competition. Mm-hmm. Not the toxic part of it, the healthy part of the competition. And I just found, I was like, men, we have the most toxic part of that. Not the most, that's the wrong word. We do perpetuate it within ourselves. And so I started finding that from the different conversations I had with different men. And I was like, we're hungry for something. And sometimes it's just that conversation. Sometimes it's that moment where like you're sitting there with your chest up and like, yeah, like this is what I do. What do you do? How much money do you make? And then the next thing you know, you start talking. And I was like, yeah, I was like, it's time for men, for us as to evolve with the time. Yes. And then the next thing you know, that exact same man with his chest like this is like, yeah, I've been having depression lately. Having like conversation, like communication problems with my woman, like my lady, my wife. I'm contemplating divorce. I'm contemplating this or that, and my boys are stuck here. Like, how am I supposed to like? And I just feel like I'm stuck in this loophole. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, take a breath for a second and appreciate what you have,
right?
What you get to do.
Facts.
And I was like, the moment you start embracing that, it changes that space. And I had a man who doesn't read asked me, like, is there a book that I can read? For someone who doesn't like to read, is there something that I can read to just get my mind moving in the right direction? And at that moment, I was like, all right, let's step into this space. Let's find a way to connect with men, however I am able to connect the men, and found the imperfect gentleman. And that's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been nothing but a beautiful journy.
Man, I'm sitting here and I was sitting here just listening to you. And as I sit here and I read your name, Redefine Masculinity, that's so powerful, because it's literally what we have to do.
Yeah.
Right. It's not something that, oh, well, you know, we'll do that later on. No, it's something that we must do like yesterday. And the name, it brings me to a book that I was actually blessed to come in contact with. It's called Battle Cry. I've been on so many platforms now speaking about this book by I call him Big Bro. He's like a solid mentor to me. He doesn't even know it, but he's probably a mentor to many men he doesn't know. But brother Jason Wilson.
Okay.
He's the dude with the kata. He has he went viral with the child that was breaking the board.
Yeah.
And he was talking to him, basically showing him life lessons through the kata, and he went viral because of it. But this book, Battle Cry, oh my goodness, this man wrote from his heart. He wrote from spaces where I gotta say it, we're not even man enough to speak from. Like, he spoke from that space where him writing those words freed me tremendously. I didn't know that I was in emotional incarceration until reading that book.
Man.
Like, after reading this book, it has totally shifted my perspective on what manhood or masculinity even is. And I know you can speak to this now, but let's talk about what makes masculinity toxic to begin with. So check this out. We spoke about this earlier, right? How important this water is to us.
Yeah.
Now, this water right here, it's spring water. So from what they say, right, it's been through whatever it's been through to get to where this situation it is now in this bottle. Now, to me, it sounded like it had to go through a filtering system, right? So let's take one filter, right? Let's call that filter masculinity, right?
Okay.
Let's take a hose, not this ending supply of water. Let's get a hose with an unlimited supply of water and take that hose and filter that one hose through this one filter. Over time, right, what's going to happen to that filter? It's going to become what? Dirty, right? It's going to become filthy. It's going to become toxic, right? Yeah. Now, why? Let's ask ourselves, why is that becoming toxic? Because what you're saying is you're taking an unlimited supply of energy, which is water, and you're running it through one port, right? You're running it through one area. You're not giving it a chance to filtrate through other areas. You're putting it through one area. You're not changing it. So after a while, what was now a filter to help you, it is now turning into toxic that's going to kill you. So this is what we do with our masculinity when we only operate through the masculine. See, I said to myself, wow, no wonder I can't find myself being happy in happy moments, right? I'm supposed to be in a joyful spirit right now, and I'm bogged down because I'm only flowing through one port of who I am, because masculinity is only a mere fragment of what a man is. So give me a thought process on this masculinity thing, man, and how does it become so toxic, and how do we switch this, man? How do we get that toxic out of our masculinity?
Get the toxic out of the masculinity. Boys doing the work. Nah, honestly, I think it's such a simple concept. Like you're saying, it's such a simple thing why it turns toxic. It's like, hey, you got one thing going one direction over and over and over again, it gets beat up. It just gets destroyed. It, like, what made it a filter no longer becomes a thing. So getting that system, like, it's just not working. And to me, the idea of, I think as people, which is why I think it got toxic, is because as people, these things that we were taught Since back then, like as men, like we've always been taught, and we've always encouraged with each other,
Right.
battle, war,
Yes.
soldier, firefighter, police officer. We're the strong ones. We do this, we do that. Like that's what we're supposed to do. And at one point in time, different types of men in the community did different things and were honored for it. So
Right.
we got away from that. The moment we started shifting away from that was the moment that you have what I want. When I started thinking in an envious manner,
Right.
I'll do anything in a desperate way to get there. But it's when you start flaunting it in front of me, it's when I really feel envious. And that's where the toxicity starts creeping in, right? It's that moment where you start looking at it in a, yeah, I know you want what I got. I know, like when we start flowing into the idea of like the superficial spaces, right?
Yes.
Like stepping into the places where it's like, yo, but the money is just there. Like all the ladies are around. Like, come on, like we got to get bodies, like stuff like that. Like that conversation.
Yes.
Word, the mindset shifts, and it's
conversation.
And that's the key. Talking about toxicity, those are the filters that need to happen for that water to purify.
Bro, you said the word conversation. This conversation is a healthy conversation, right?
Yes.
This is going to manifest into more positivity in other spaces in our lives. So let's just imagine for a second, because we've both been there as men.
Yeah.
We've both sat in toxic conversations and added to, right? And take away from these conversations at one point in our lives. And if we're not careful, we'll do them at some point in the present times if we're not guarding ourselves. But what I want to sit here and say is, just imagine right now, this conversation we're having was one of the ones we used to have about, yo, how many girls you laid down this week, bro? Like, yo, listen, like, I'm about to go out there and hit the block. Like, somebody owe me $1,000 a day. Do you like now? Imagine this conversation that we're having in the negative manner, and then publicly having this conversation across the same platform. What it would do, because what happens is all it takes somebody to listen to this content for a few seconds, it's already downloaded into their spirit.
But that's what happens. That's what happens. That's the thing. Like that's exactly the thing. And I think that's why there's been good conversations getting spread all across the internet, but bad conversations just as quickly spread everywhere. And it's because it's so quick to do this, like in like a phone though,
right?
TikTok,
right.
And that's kind of where I feel that the toxicity really started to unfold. And what feels, I'm gonna say feels, because I don't believe it is. I think it feels like in an abundant manner, because the trending videos, those videos, they're one here, there's 3 there, there's 5 there, plenty other videos that are about positivity, but those are the ones who are going to get the recognition, and that's the downside of it, right? Like the negative one sounds so loud.
You know, and what's so crazy about that is it's troubling to me, bro. And it's like, I guess this is my calling in life, because I know I'm a very bold individual, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go against things that my boldness is going to come into play with. And this is one of those things, is that I'm so sick and tired of the negative narrative speaking louder than us. I am getting physically sick of it, like to the point where I want to throw up a lot of times, because I'm like, yo, even on my own content on social media, if I'm speaking about something about elevating us, I get 5 to 15 likes.
Yeah.
Cool. But the moment I put something up there that's speaking, it might not even be a negative thing, but it's speaking down to a topic, skyrockets. Like I had one about she's speaking in a positive light, but she's talking about the negative mindset of women, right? So she's speaking about in a positive way about it, but she's talking about a negative aspect. And that is went viral. I'm at 120,000 views in the last week already. And I'm saying to myself, what happened to the video when I'm telling a young man he's more than a conqueror? Like, why that video doesn't go further? Why when we speak of things that we need to elevate ourselves, it doesn't go where it needs to go? But the only truth is, we're prone and sad to say programmed to negativity.
Yeah, that's the honestly that's something I've thought of a lot. So bear with me. I'm gonna just throw a lot of stuff around.
That's why we're here. Move it around.
Yo, I thoroughly believe we are ingrained in our essence as a human, our human way, the way we process things mentally, physically, all the above. Mentally mainly, we're programmed to want that. I call it the tasty candy. Like it's the funny stuff. It's the things that gets the dopamines running, right?
Yeah,
like the moment you realize that all things can be addicting in one way or the other, and you realize what your body gets used to. Your body gets used to the dopamine flow. Your body gets used to that funny thing. They're like, oh, that was so funny. That was so ironic. Like, that's why misery loves company, right? Like, yeah, like, oh, like, see, you got it. You get it. Like, come on. I don't want to
share my pain.
I don't want to take responsibility. And that's the problem. I'm not here to take responsibility. The moment that you sit me down and talk to me, it's you and I. And that's responsibility I'm going to have to take. Or I'm going to repel back, but you're not that type of person that allow me to repel back. You're the type of person that helps me through it.
Right.
Most people don't do that. Most men don't have that space. Most anybody really doesn't have a ton of that space to do so. And that's why I think this modern day that we operate in isn't conducive for our old school male mind. Because everybody else is getting spaces to speak in a productive way, right? In a nurturing way, which is why they're where they're at now. We haven't tried to do that at all. We shut it down the moment it starts. So you're getting all these likes because everybody's like, okay, that's too deep. I can't do that right now.
Right.
That's funny. So they just did it the other day.
Right.
In reality, you also just the other day had that sad moment that you could have heard something, but you didn't want to give that, and that's going to take work.
And so let me ask you a question. So what you're basically saying is, we as human beings, especially men, right? We're talking to the men. We shy away from things that hurt us. We don't want to face them.
Who would have known something like that? That's crazy, right?
So, as macho men as we are, how we'll combat, we'll go at somebody, we'll pull a gun on somebody, we'll do all these raw things, but we won't deal with the traumas and the things.
Honestly,
so are we really strong?
Nah, not mentally. Not mentally. And that's the point. That's okay. That's the thing. That's
groundbreaking.
And that's the point, is the moment that I acknowledge that I'm not weak, that doesn't make me less of me. We keep trying to want to be a man. That's the problem. Stop.
Stop trying to be what you naturally are.
That makes no sense to me. That's what I just don't get what people do. And I get it. But that's the thing though. Let me rephrase it. I get it though.
Yes, we definitely do get it.
We are completely trained to do that. We're trained to want the candy. We don't want the vegetables. We have been trained to do that. And unfortunately, especially in the poor community, like we're even further shoved into the idea of like, hey, but those chips tasted good. Yeah. This broccoli didn't. That water didn't. But that soda tasted good. You're gonna tell me you can buy a water for $1, or you're gonna get a Coke for 75 cents, and you're gonna go with the flavor. But that flavor induces that dopamine mindset. That flavor induces pleasure. That flavor induces the lack of patience, the lack of discipline. So that flavor off the bat will start shoving you down that whole entire rabbit hole of, well, I'm going to be late to work today. Or I'm going to go do this instead of that. I'm going to go.
I didn't bring you on this platform to step on nobody's toes like this. I'm lying. I brought you on here to step on these toes. You're right. For real. I want you to do me a favor and go back on that, because that right there, that point cannot be overlooked.
You're right.
How we make a decision, something small, right, as putting it in our mouths, water to soda. How that feeling, the dopamine drip of the soda, just temporarily gives you what your brain wants in that second.
Exactly.
But how that trickles down into the rest of your day. Oh my God, D.
And that's the truth, though. But that's the truth. And I promise you, though, it's funny. I was asking somebody one day, like, how is your coaching style? Like, what is it like? I'm like, honestly, I battle you in the parts that you feel like you're the strongest. Like, I want to test those parts, because those are guarding something really soft behind it. And not in a bad way, but they're guarding something that they don't want to touch. I'm like, no, like that's the thing, like right there. It's the small thing where it's like, but I just had a drink of Coke. I'm like, no, I get that. Can you control that drink of Coke? Can you control what you're doing? I was like, if you did it impulsively, then you don't have control over that. Therefore, that work you're trying to do, it's not going to cultivate the way you want to. I was like, that's where it's like, no, take pride and be happy for that moment where it's like, I can choose a Coke or a water, and I chose water. Give yourself acknowledgement and pride and validation that you chose water.
Bro.
That's beautiful. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what we don't do as men.
Yes.
We don't encourage ourselves to be like, no, look, like today you went home, you went out to the bar, you went to the clubs, you saw all these beautiful women, and you went home by yourself. Take pride in that.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
It doesn't make you lonely. That doesn't mean you missed out.
Or it doesn't make you ugly. It doesn't make none of those things matter. Like, none of those things make sense.
But we don't process it that way.
Right.
We don't teach each other to process that way. But we also don't have other friends that allow us to process in that space. So we just basically have guys who are like next to each other, but like they all have shields.
Yes.
So it's like, hey, yeah, that was good, right? Oh, man.
Right.
Like, instead of an open arm embrace, like, yo, come here.
Yeah.
Way to go. Yo, that's what I'm talking about.
And let me tell you, bro, like it was a time in my life where I struggled with masturbation. I'm gonna be out with it. Like, it was a time where I just couldn't stop. So I had to call on a friend of mine. And first and foremost, I had to do was be transparent. Now, let me say something. It's always easier to speak about it, especially publicly, once you've beat it.
Oh.
But it's almost entirely the opposite when you have to tell someone that you respect, you admire, and you love that you're struggling with something so embarrassing. Yeah. So what I had to do, I had to go on the phone with a gentleman that I respect, I honor, and I think highly of, and say, you know what, bro? I'm struggling in this area. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But the one thing that happened in that moment was he was able to say, you know what, bro, I struggled with it a while back. Don't trip. Now, I would have never known it, right? I would have never known that he had the same struggle. But because I wanted better in that moment, and I didn't even know where to go with it, I said to myself, I'm going to just talk to someone. I'm going to be transparent with someone that I call a brother. And just my vulnerability was enough for him to say, you know what? He probably never told me, because he definitely told me that before this moment, but he never told nobody else that either. Yeah. But the fact that I was able to say, you know what, I need help in this space, and being transparent to say, you know what, I don't care what you think about me after this moment. I just need help right now. And I think that we as men would create more spaces once we just show each other that's okay to be transparent, bro. Like, my baby sister just left South Florida to go back to New York. And my sister's 7 years younger than me. So all the things that I learned about masculinity and manhood, she's seen me go through it. So her thought process of what a man is still skewed to the man I used to be. Mm-hmm. So when it was time for her to go and then we were separating ways, I began to cry. And she was looking at me and she began to cry, but I can tell that her tears were tears of fear, not understanding, and just wanted to make me feel better because she felt like her big brother is crying, so it has to be something wrong. Right. And I had to tell her, sweetheart, I'm just okay now with showing you what I felt on the inside all this time. So what that did for her was it gave her a new respect of what a man is. Because remember, I'm her big brother. So it's her father, it's her brother, it's the next man she's going to be with. Mm-hmm. So now she realizes that, oh, it's okay for her to see a man cry now. So she won't do two things. She won't call him the next man she sees crying weak. She won't consider him to be soft. And she also won't think that he's just somebody to be pushed over because he's crying. Mm-hmm. He's a man that understands he's an individual with emotions. And it's okay to express those. So we have to be okay with being transparent, but not just our own sake, but for the people around us, man.
Because we create those environments around each other, and it only perpetuates that belief.
Yes.
I mean, we can get into stereotypes in so many different spaces. We know that we have to do all that, but we know. But that's the thing, though, is it goes in all these spaces that we still don't acknowledge, and that's one of them. Prime example. Like that's destructive. But women hated it too, and I get it. Like, that's the thing. Like, these are things that have been happening. Like
Yes.
we're in the space now where like I get it. Things have been happening to where people are now just being out more with like, I feel this way and I'm gonna be all right with it. Like I'm gonna let you know I feel this way.
Right.
Yet men are just now getting to that spot to be, because everybody's been battling at us for so long,
Yes.
right? Like it feels like it's been this space where it's like, you guys don't have it. You're not allowed to say poor me because you guys are the problem. And I was
But
like, you know what? It's like, I get that. But
I think that I'm going to cut you off, but I think the battle is not with us men. I think they're just battling our masculinity. The one thing that they hold us to, right? They hold us to this masculine. They don't address the other features of us, right? They don't even talk or even address the fact that some of us are intellectual. A lot of us have deeper depths of our emotions, but that's never spoke about when it comes to men.
But that's just it, right? Like it's, how do we take it? That's like, they can say whatever they want to say. How is it that we're taking it?
Yes.
Yeah. Like there's so much more to talk about us than like this toxic piece.
Yes.
Right? Like
yes.
you the toxic masculinity. And I only hear that as, this is the only thing you're striving for and you don't got it. This is the only thing you're supposed to do and you're doing it wrong. Like,
right.
That's all I'm given. Why would you expect me to, one, be able to evolve, two, not completely just hold in and foster everything? Because what that's doing is, you're telling me I'm supposed to be masculine, so therefore I'm not allowed to express myself. In theory, that's what I'm being told.
Right.
Tough man, a man doesn't cry.
Right.
You don't show emotion. You don't show weakness. You don't show this. I'll tell you a prime example of where I found the healthy masculinity and the toxic masculinity. I was talking to this gentleman the other day. Amazing dude. Absolutely amazing dude. Started from legitimately the bottom, and now he's here type of thing, right? Like killing it. And this dude was like, like, Damon, like, why don't you ever show that, like, that hurts? Like, we're working out in the gym and I'm struggling. And I mean, struggling, like I'm getting lightheaded. Like it was rough, but I'm pushing through. He's like, why aren't you showing that it hurts? I'm like, it hurts. It hurts. Embrace it. He's like, but you don't show it. Like, I was like, no, I was like, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm telling you right now, I feel the hurt. He's like, well, then how do you numb the pain? I was like, stop it. That's the problem. We're being taught to numb the pain. No, do not numb the pain. I was like, the beauty of the warrior, like a true warrior, is that you embrace the pain. You go through. You don't show that it hurts as much as it's like you hit it and you do what every emotion needs to do, but then understand, I got to keep moving though. I got to keep moving. So if I go to the, this hurts so bad, I can't, then you see it in your face. You see it in your body. You see it in your responses back. Whereas if you're like, dang, like, okay, I got it. Like this hurts. I'm getting better. Like there's weakness here, but I'm moving forward. But like I have to do that. Like that's what I get to do. I get to do that. I get to grow. I get to push forward in that. The warrior embraces that pain, like embraces that uncomfortability with confidence, right? With discipline, with courageous.
I'm about to say, because confidence comes after the courage.
Exactly.
And this is why, like, I tell every man that I come in contact with, whether I coach or not, you want some confidence, you're gonna have to be courageous enough to deal with yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like confidence is expensive. Like, and I'm not talking about my coaching because that's cheap. What I'm talking about is confidence. Your own personal confidence is expensive. And I don't mean the relative to money. I mean expensive to what you're going to pay to have it. And not just have it, to keep it. Because what I've learned too about confidence, it comes in so many different facets of life. Right? Like, we can be confident in my ability to walk. I'm confident right now I can get up out of the chair and walk to any place in this house I need to. I'm confident in my ability to run. I've been in the gym for the last few months. I'm feeling kind of good, right? Like, so I'm confident in this space. I can hoop right now. I've been hooping. So I'm confident in my ability to what? Shoot a jump shot right now. But the truth of the matter was, what did I pay to get that confidence to feel physically better? What did I pay? the physical pain over the last 5 months of going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week with a personal trainer who's in the NFL. Yes, that's pain. Now, the price that I had to pay, it wasn't just the physical pain. It was the mental anguish, right? Knowing that the day before I just went through a full body circuit and I have to go back the very next day and do it all over again. Now, what's happening is I'm tapping into a different part of my body right now. I'm not worrying about the physical. And this is what we as men have to understand. We're so caught up in the physical of life is that before you get to the physical, you got to address the mental and what's going on inside of the body. So what I realize is that when I'm in a gym and I'm pushing my body to a limit, I'm forcing myself to go into a space physically that I'm not comfortable in.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing now is, along with the muscles, I'm widening and expanding my horizon. I'm extending my territory for what now? Patience, peace, love, joy. I'm expanding this territory because what's going to happen now is when I've taken my body to its absolute limits, my brain has now expanded because, wow, I got past one of my limits I thought I wasn't going to get to in this gym. So what that does is also shows me I have a wider and broader boundary now for myself, but it also does something else. It gives more confidence. It makes everything that you do within inside those parameters easier. See, because now that I'm physically fit again, standing up and down, moving around is no longer a struggle. Because 6 months ago, sitting down, I'm like, whoo. Now I can stand up and shoot out of this chair and go run if I have to. Because now everything within the parameters of my now expanded territory is easier now. And this is why I tell everyone, I don't care what you do, physically push yourself. If it's hard for you to walk an extra mile today.
Mm-hmm.
If it's hard for you to run some today. Push yourself to a physical limit because what's going to happen, your brain's going to go to that same extent. And it's going to show you what you're capable of and make everything within your day a lot easier, man. A lot easier.
Yeah, that's it's gorgeous because I love it. I love hearing that because it's something I've always believed. Something I, like you said, like I tell people, don't realize that it comes out your mouth the way it does, and then you realize, dang, like that was actually, it makes sense. It works. Like I was telling someone, I was like, mind and body is key.
Yes.
And anybody that tells you they're separated is lying to you. Or let me rephrase that. Who am I to say? I can't confidently. No, that's a lie. I can't confidently say it. but I also embrace the fact that somebody proved to me the other way, like, no, look, these are two separate things. I'm like, okay, you got me. To me, mind and body is key. Because at the end of the day, if the same thing that you do to benefit your body is the exact same process that your mind goes through, then you tell me that they're different. They're not. It's just the point of it. Like,
take the mind from the body and see what happens.
Prime example. You take the body from the mind and see how it goes.
Yeah. See where this thing is going to end up without the computer. Yeah, let's see.
And that's just it. Is like, I mean, it's so easy to be in a good space until you realize that your body, once you stop using your body, that your brain drops. That your confidence drops, that discipline drops. Like that's why I always tell people, I was like, when you tap into who you are, don't associate it to things. Don't associate to the physical.
Yes. Say that again. Jesus.
Because the moment that the physical goes, that your identity then drifts away.
Yes.
And not that doesn't mean, so for instance, I think you do good things. You do good things because you are a good person.
Right.
That needs to be the mindset. It doesn't need to be that you, like, just because I can hoop, that I'm like, I am a hooper. It's like, no. Right. I'm like, I can do the coordination, therefore I can hoop.
Right.
Like it's two different things. And I think the downside, especially with men, is that a lot of our identity has been associated strictly with physical things. It's only been done with physical things. So it's hard to then identify as something where it's like, no, like you're supposed to be the breadwinner. Well, that's subjective.
Right.
So I'm supposed
Yo,
to
it's a difference between what you are and what you do.
and that's just it. Finding that true understanding and that essence of who you are. But that's
Yo, can we go there for a second? Because now I feel like we about to have some fun with this.
Oh yeah.
Because check this out. So you mean to tell me that my manhood is not predicated on how many orgasms I give my wife?
I mean, that's what they say.
Yo, so because I really want to have this conversation because I think it's going to help so many men because we think as men, we're programmed to believe that because we're in the bedroom and we get certain noises or we get certain responses from our woman, and because of it, it makes us more of what we already are. That's a concept that we have to break. We gotta because even right now, with my account looking the way it's looking, I'm still not more of a man than if it was negative, like it was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I realized, bro? The only thing different than happened to who I was 2 years ago and who I am now is the books that I've read and the people that I network with. That's the only two things that changed. On the outside, right? Like on the outside version, because
that's what they say.
On the inside, there's many of change in thought process, but on the outside, the only thing that has changed over the last 2 years are the books that I'm reading, what I'm feeding to my spirit, right? Overall, and the people I'm interacting with, the network that I bumped into, to the people that I'm affecting lives and affecting my life now. This is the only things different. So with that being said, we got to realize if we want to be better in the next 2 years, we just have to continue to feed our spirit the right things and network with phenomenal people.
Connect.
And let everything else just take its course.
Connect. Connect. Like that's
yes.
It's the more you talk to people and understand and like create that space, it helps you reflect and understand like who am I, right? That big question of who am I, you know? And then the guys were like, yo, like, but you can't lay it down like I do. And then you sit there and look like, okay, so you're worried about quantity. I'm worried about quality.
Right.
Me knowing who I am creates quality.
Yes.
Me not knowing who I am, but trying to figure it out. It's usually the quantity. It's usually trial and error until you figure out who you are, right? And if you just keep getting fed this, like, this is what you're supposed to do, like, this is how you're supposed to do it, like, blah, blah,
right.
blah. Okay, then who am I, though? Like, what does that lead me to? It leads you to a mindless machine that just walks around in a certain space that feeds the bigger machine, whatever it might be.
Right.
That's the only thing that's beneficial to somebody who tells you what you have to do, should do, whatever it is, but not giving you an understanding of why.
Right.
Doesn't give you any education, doesn't give you any breakthroughs. It literally, I was telling somebody one day, I was like, we need to figure out how to create a character building educational program for children, not be so fueled down certain funnels. Like, and they're like, and you're a guy, you're going this way. And
right.
you're a guy, you're going this way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to allow these kids to have a true character building space.
We need to, and honestly, we have to create this, especially as coaches, bro. Like, I think that's gonna be my next mission within the next 2 years.
Yeah, is
to have an assessment for children, right? Because we've taken the many assessments. There's assessments that we have in our programs, and the DISC assessment that I have literally been studying my DISC assessment for the last, I don't know, almost a year now, and learning so much more about myself. But I've learned that if I was exposed to things early in life, I would have chose different things early in life. Yeah. So it's like, it's up to us to expose these children, and especially these young men, to different avenues and different ways of going through life and expressing themselves. Because I was just on the Clubhouse the other day, and men I respect, I'm talking about millionaire men that I hold high esteem to.
Yeah.
I heard someone say, they came on a platform and a gentleman said, oh, this is a platform of beautiful men, just like that. Like, and one of the guys that I respect, was like, "Nah, I'm not beautiful. Don't call me beautiful." And I was just like, wow.
Right.
You're programmed to think that the word beautiful can only be
Feminine.
associated with a woman, something soft, tender, or unmanly, right? Like, and that's our biggest fear, to be qualified as soft or unmanly. So now the word beautiful itself, the word, it can't be associated with a man. That's wrong. If the thought process is incarceration.
The flaw though, but that's just it. Like that's the hitch in the machine, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like machines get typed in like certain codes and certain pathways, and the moment you go a different pathway, that a machine that's been doing it for so long, it's rickety.
Yeah.
It immediately, you catch resistance immediately. It borderline breaks down, and you're like, what's going on? Like it should be able to go this way.
Right.
Nah, no, it shouldn't. I stopped that. Like there's like I plugged that up. Like no, I can't go that way. And then you just look at it and you understand why it's so hard to flow. It's because you have some plugs in these spaces that things are supposed to go, and things can't flow. Like it can flow one way, and that's it. It doesn't give you a chance to adapt.
Yes.
You have to be, and then that's it.
And that's nothing. And if you think about that, bro, nothing in life is that way.
Agreed.
Let's think about that for a second. Nothing in life is set to one path, and that's it. Like a tree can grow in any direction that tree decides to grow into.
Yeah. Which
is a fish can go wherever it wants to go.
And that's the thing though, is like I always think it's interesting because fish, obviously they flow with the river. And they go whatever direction in the river they can. They can pop off in different channels, this and that. They have things that they ideally want to go for, but they go whichever way. And then the salmon's like, yo, I'm gonna jump back upstream. Like, let's go.
Y'all are bugging going this way. I'm going back that way, y'all.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And then like some of these fish, like they pop up in the ocean and they're like, huh, I guess I could really just kind of go. Let's just find out. I don't know. You wanna go like, it's just funny to me because we have this whole entire space, and now we have the technology to go where you want to go. Right. All these spaces to go where you want to go. And that one thing that kind of like the beautiful to the man, right, is the money to the people. It's the resource. It's the ability to do these things until you realize like, but you can still kind of do that. Like how? Like you can travel on a budget. 2, if you decide that you want to do something, you can do it.
Yes.
Like, period.
You know what? I'm sorry, but you just gave me something that triggered a thought. We have to stop our limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Like the limiting beliefs is what's keeping us where we are. So when you just said about planning and being strategic about making a move and going somewhere, we don't realize is that, we can do whatever we want, but we allow our circumstances to dictate what we do. So check this out. I had this weird epiphany when I was working back in the day. I was like, if I really wanted to go across country, I would just tell this job that I'm not coming back. I would take the little bit of money in my savings and just survive on and get to where I have to go and then figure another way out of income. That right there, for others' minds, is like going off of the earth, like jumping off the side of the globe and never coming back.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. We allow our circumstances to dictate to us what is okay or able to be done.
Yeah.
And that's what we have the capability of the creator to dictate our circumstances to what we want to do.
Agreed.
And that's the power shift right there, bro.
But that's just it though, is that power shift takes a brilliant mind, unfortunately. And I mean a brilliant mind just in the sense of like, that's not easy.
No,
that takes somebody that's my football coach used to always say this. He's like, there's no such thing as luck. He's like, you're prepared and the opportunity presented itself.
Word.
Period. And I was like, okay, so you have to have that mind that's prepared to break that mold, to think differently than that mold was initially, right? To at least assess it, and you can get resources around after, right? You can get all this other stuff after, but until that moment, it takes that space. And I was writing down the other day in my book, and I was writing down the idea of, I was like, we have, I was like, free will. The price of that is just your determination, like your discipline. Like all you have to do is just you do. Like we've been taught that you don't have free will,
Right.
but you're told you have free will. So you've been taught you don't have it because you have all these limits around you, right? Like you're young, Black, in the hood, you can't do anything else. Sorry, this is the only thing you're supposed to be able to do, right? Like that's what you're taught.
Mm-hmm.
However, in reality, like you have your free will. You can bust through these things that however you can, but then everybody around you is like, that's stupid. Like, what do you mean? How can you do that? How are you supposed to do that? What makes you think you can do that? Because I can.
Right.
That's just simple. Because I can. Because I'm going to. That, and I think that that's in all spaces, right? Like I mean, I know people like, I mean, I'm half and half. So like half of my family lived in Columbus, Ohio, in like some not good spots, and then other half of my family lived in trashy parts of Indiana and in some better parts of Indiana. And my mom has this mindset of, but I like to travel. I want to go to places. And when we got old enough, or when I got like finally old enough and she could like get us out and about, like we went to Disney World.
Right.
We went to Myrtle Beach. We went to Savannah, Georgia. Like, but that put that bug of like, dang, like you're right. Like I can do more.
Right.
I ended up going to college, and I met people there, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to go to San Diego. Go live in San Diego. And my family looked at me like, wait, why are you going to California?
Right.
Like, why are you going all the way out there? I was like, because, and my only reasoning, because I went out there with no job. I had a little bit of money that I had made at like the job I was at before, took that money, went to San Diego, and was like, game time. Like,
now I'm here. That's it.
And they're like, no, what are you going to do? I'll figure it out. And I'm here today, loving where I'm at as a man's life coach. And that's what I'm saying, though, is like, that's the beauty of it. Like, even like me telling my own feeling of that miniature story, right, is we have this opportunity. And it's there. For us to think that we don't is selfish. What I like to do, I love looking at history, and I love analyzing. I love analyzing where the direction was going, right? Like where was the trajectory? Like where were we heading from this space? And I mean, we've had so many things happen within the past 50 years, let alone 100 years, and even more than that, right? So from the civil rights movements and like things like this, and like women coming out of spaces, like all this, there's been about 4 or 5 different wars, 2 really big wars,
right?
So like massive civil rights movements, and just like things happening. And I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, those were inevitable. It's going to happen no matter what.
Right.
And now what is the direction that it's going? What's the direction that our mindsets are going? Where were the men at that point in time? Where were you mentally? Why were you so happy with where you were at? And it's like, well, because you didn't have technology. If they had that technology back then, it would have been the same idea. We are acting as humans would act today. So that's the thing. It makes us fearful because like, well, back in my day, back in this time.
Yo, don't you hate when those stories start that way, yo?
When I sit there and think about it, it's like, yeah, back in this time,
right,
you couldn't do that at all. Back in that time, people end up missing and never been seen. Not that that doesn't happen today, but you're talking about percentages,
right? But you know what? Also, too, I want us to do too in this moment. I want us to talk to the young man, right?
Yeah.
I want us to talk to the young man that's feeling stuck, right? That's feeling like that he can only see what's in front of him. Because I know what that looks like, right? I know what being behind those eyeballs feels like when you can only see what's in front of you. And what I want to do is also in a moment talk to the emotion of it, right? So the emotion of frustration that you're feeling right now currently, as a young man, it's a sign of hope. Let me explain why. We're designed to be creators. We're designed to be builders. So by design, by default, you are naturally, in nature, supposed to be doing something constructive with your life. That's called building. So the frustration that you feel right now is actually your check engine light.
Mm.
So as a man, when you're getting frustrated with life, circumstances, where you are, situations, begin to celebrate. Begin to celebrate. For the people who are more churchy, begin to worship. Begin to celebrate, because that is a groundbreaking moment, because you now know there's something more for you. See, when on the inside, when we know there's more for us, that's turbulence. Where you are right now is not your destiny. It's frustrating you because on the inside, at your core, you know that there's more for you, but you are allowing what you see to dictate your direction. So now, and you're a phenomenal one to speak to this point, because I love how your brain processes things. Express to this young man in this space about there's more, and the frustration that he feels about where he is only an alert, and should be an alert to go further and do more.
Man, I love that. That's what to me, it goes to the mindset of, I always think of roller coasters. I think of physics. I think of there's a physical phenomenon that happens, and you speak of it as the turbulence, right? And that's just the facts, right? Like the moment you're moving forward, wind pushes against your face.
Right.
So the moment that you're doing anything worth going up, you're going to feel that wind hitting your face. Like, okay, hold on. Like we're hitting. Like, and that anxiety just builds up. And then the easier part happens. Once that easier part happens, you're like you're just having a blast. And the way I love to acknowledge it, like talking about like this movement forward and this inevitable movement forward, is it's the bow and arrow. So when I speak to this young man, I speak to him as an archer. I speak to him as a warrior in that space. Because ironically enough, people look at the archer like, man, you're shooting arrows from a distance. Like you're not fighting. You're not here. I'm like, lies. Think of what I'm doing. Right here is the bow. So you have your present moment right here. Wavered in your hand. You are the arrow. If you sit in your present moment, no pull back or anything, nothing pulling you back, just present moment, you drop. You just go straight down.
Wow.
The moment these motions and this feeling of restlessness, this work, you start slowly cocking back, because it feels negative, right? It feels like negative motion, like, oh, I'm doing wrong, like what's going on, like why am I frustrated, and blah 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 blah, and the whole time you're just cocking. And then when you realize, like, it's time, I got this. This is why I was so mad. This is why whatever was going on, like this is why that was happening. Release. But the inevitability with that release, is forward motion,
projection.
That arrow has to go forward. I don't care how you let go of it. That arrow is moving forward in one way or the other. I don't care if it hit the target or not. It's moving forward. The more you get used to stepping in those uncomfortable spaces and getting practice, letting go and understanding that release, the moment something comes to release, you stop looking at that negative motion as a negative motion, but a necessary motion. You have to cock back in order to move forward.
So
I get to cock back in order to move forward.
Is it negative or is it necessary?
They're necessary emotions. They're necessary emotions.
Yo, D, that bow and arrow just blessed my heart. It's like, and I'm gonna be very transparent. I'm gonna use it somewhere else. I'm gonna use that. Yo, that's phenomenal, bro. Because
like that.
Because once again, that statement takes me back to the Battle Cry book. Bro, do me a favor, get it, read it.
I'm going to.
When you said to pull back and the release, it takes me to the book, and I believe it's chapter 2, if I'm not mistaken, when he starts speaking about rest. It's called the 4 R's. And I'm going to implement this in a nightly program that I'm going to actually be a part of. Where every night we're going to prepare our minds for our mornings. And what we're going to do, we're going to take the 4 R's from Brother Jason's book, which is reflect, release, rest, and refresh. I hope I'm saying them right. No, I'm not saying them right. And I got them written down right here. Wait, where is it? Oh, here it goes. I got to get this right because this is important. Here we go. Yes, reflect, release, reset, and rest. I had them backwards. So first of all, we got to reflect, right? We got to see what it is that's causing us that caused us to be at dis-ease, right, today, because that's where we are. When we're not in our great space, we're in dis-ease, and that's where diseases come from. So we got to figure out what it is, right? What's making us that's not at ease? Reflect. After we reflect, we think about it, we stew on it for a while. It's time to now let that go. Whatever it was, it's time to release it. Exactly. Get it off your chest. Get it out. Let's talk about it. Let's let it into the air. And once we leave it there, and this is one thing I learned even in my spiritual journey, we had the habit of going to picking back up the very thing that we dropped down. Right? We'll go take our cares and we'll go take them to our Father's feet and say, Dad, listen, I'm struggling with this. Help me with this. We'll walk away. And then a day later, something triggers us and we'll go pick up that same worry again. We have to learn to just release it and never go back and pick it up again. Because after the release, you can now reset your mind. Right? Now we can say, you know what? I just have to be who I am. And who I am is who I am. And I just have to be a human being and be. So once we get back to that part of release, we can reset and then we can rest. Now it's easy for us to go to bed at night. Now we're not sitting up late struggling to cope with life. We're not sitting up thinking about how we can be better and do more. We can actually rest now. So you just brought me into that one, into those 4 R's, because I'm like, yo, if we can truly just release all the negativity, all the past traumas, all the negative thoughts, the limiting beliefs, all the imposter syndrome, all these things, if we can just release it, right? Let the tension go of it, we can catapult ourselves into the next phase of life. Yo, D, that truly blessed me, bro.
Hey, I'm glad you loved it, brother.
Oh my God, that right there was worth the price of admission was definitely worth it today, man.
I love it. Hey, like I said, to me, it's beautiful because I had somebody ask me one day, like I explained it to him, and I gave him the analogy, like, well, then what is it supposed to just like you shoot once and you're done? I'm like, no, no, is the war finished like right now? Like, no, you keep practicing.
Yeah,
you keep doing it until the war is won.
Yes,
but yet you have the tool, you have the skills that if another war happens, you understand how to fight the battles.
Yes.
And then the battles are won.
Absolutely.
It's the Archer mindset.
Bro, so this conversation has truly blessed me. So I know, selfishly speaking, it was meant for me, but it's also going to do some phenomenal work for a gentleman or a queen out there that comes across this episode. So for myself and the men and women that will come across this content, I say thank you. I appreciate you for coming on this platform. I don't take it lightly. I'm grateful because what we have to understand is the more that we have conversations, the more we evolve. See, I'm forcing your evolution right now. And as well as you're doing is with me. Like, you're forcing me to evolve because what we now have discussed, we cannot unknow. Mm-hmm. We have now new levels of accountability now, because I now know that the tension is taking me forward. So whenever I feel it again, I can no longer fall into that negative mind space or that victim mindset of why is this happening to me. I have to now let that go, release it, so I can be propelled through the next level of my life. So, bro, you have blessed others that you will never see. The seeds you've planted, you probably will never see the fruits of. But one thing I can guarantee, because I know the good man upstairs has never lied, any seed you plant that you don't eat, your seeds will. your children's will benefit. So my man, you have come on this platform and blessed it and graced it in ways that I'm extremely blessed to even be a part of. So thank you. Do me a favor, let the people know how to contact you and any kind of things you have going on that you want them to be abreast about.
Man, I appreciate you so much, brother. I really do. Yes, if anybody wants to reach out for men's relationship life coaching, on the West Coast, I do virtual, but I love my in person. Go to the refinedmasculinity.com. I have a whole website there. Please get through it, and hopefully I'm back up on this podcast sometime soon. But slowly but surely, I am releasing my book in 2 months. It's called My Thoughts. That's all there is. It's easy, open up coffee table book. Take a look at it. Whatever that quote hit for that day, ideally it hits the way you need it to, and you just keep moving through. It's very at ease moments like this where I'm just spitting what was on my mind, my thoughts.
And you said 2 months from now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm holding you to it. So accountability. So now we are in November. We'll be looking for this book in February. As a matter of fact, that will be you coming back to the platform, letting us know the release of this book. So I love putting it on wax because it holds us to a different standard of accountability.
It's a way different feeling.
Yes, indeed.
I have it right. I have it here. It just has to go through the publisher. So, hey.
Yes, indeed. And like, this is what it's about. Iron sharpening iron.
Yes, it does.
Because what accountability does, it forces you to be who you say you are. And that's the one thing I've learned is that accountability is not for the weak-hearted. Accountability is not for the person that just wants to talk about it. But because when everybody wants to be accountable, it's time to be held accountable, right? So, man, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your future. I'm excited for what you have going on because you are a bright individual. You have a certain outlook on life that only I wish I can bottle and give to certain men. So I want to encourage you. I want to admonish you to keep doing what you're doing. Keep being the man that you are and keep striving to be the man that you want to be because the vision of who you are is going to change many lives, my brother. So thank you once again for everything you've blessed me with on this platform. And I'm grateful to have you on this page. And I will have you back here in 2 months talking about that phenomenal book called My Thoughts, bro.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, man. You have an absolute amazing rest of your day.
No doubt, my man. Listen to everybody out there. Do me a favor. Go check this man out on his social media. Go check him out on his webpage. Do yourself a favor. Network this with this individual, male or woman. Women come correct. I'm sorry. Are you single, sir?
I am not single.
He is not single, so stay out of his DMs. Okay, stay out of his DMs if it's not professional and strictly platonic. Because we are men of standard, integrity, and we are looking forward to being better than who we are and who we've been. So, with that being said, guys, remember this podcast is here for you. It's here for us. It's here for so we can be better than who we were yesterday and today going forward. Remember, confidence is all about how you see yourself. But until the next time we see you, be good to yourself and the ones around you. But if you can't be good to the ones around you, that's okay. Don't be so hard on yourself. Just get those folk from around you. Yo, this is RJD, the Imperfect Gentleman, your men's character and confidence development coach. This has been the Uniquely Confident Podcast. Y'all be blessed because we will. Peace, y'all.